So I'm Sage Valentine, for those of you guys that don't know, and I started watching 2 new shows this week. Damien, which airs on A&E on Mondays at 10 p.m. Check your local listings if you're not on the East Coast. And Underground, which airs on WGN. I don't remember if it comes on at 9 or 10 o'clock. I just start watching it. Anyways, both shows are really good shows. Now, Underground basically came to my attention because when I went to New York Comic Con last October, I was looking at the different panels that they had, and Underground was one of the last panels that was featured alongside, I believe, Sleepy Hollow and this big Q&A that they usually have where you can air your grievances about the con or what you want to see or what you think should happen. But anyways, I decided, like, listen, I'm going to go to Underground and see what it's all about. And they gave us t-shirts, and we were able to see the first 8 minutes of the episode, the first episode, as well as a few extra scenes. So this past week, I was finally able to see the episode in its entirety, and I was not disappointed. It did not come across as what I thought it would, but then again, after seeing the first 8 minutes, I realized that this show was different, had a different perspective and a different narrative. We've never seen a show that's centered around slavery, particularly around runaway slaves. So it's going to be really, really interesting, and I can't wait to see how they're going to make this storyline progress. And it's cool to see that the slaves are very intelligent, as they were, because you had to be intelligent during that time to escape, considering those hunting parties and slave catchers and the occasional Uncle Tom and the occasional turncoat. But it was a good show, and I really tuned into this not only because of Journey Smollett, not only because of Aldous Hodge, not only because of Christopher Maloney, but because of Mark Blucas, who used to be on Buffy years back. He's been on a couple of other shows, but I remember sitting at the panel and saying to myself, like, I'm getting such Buffy vibes because he is literally sitting here like across from me. This is so cool. But if you haven't watched that show, you definitely should. It's not for the faint of heart, though. I haven't seen anything that pertains to the sexual violence that happened to female slaves during that time, but from the looks of the trailer, it appears that we're going to see a little teensy bit of that. Now, as far as Damien goes, if you're familiar with the Omen movies, Omen 1, 2, and 3, and 4, if you watched it, you will like this show. It's basically about Damien as a 29-year-old who turns 30, and basically things around him start happening. Like, it's not like they didn't happen previously, but he didn't pay that much attention to him. He just felt like he was one of those people that just had bad luck. And then he's over in Damascus, Syria. He's like a photojournalist. He has a girlfriend, or an ex-girlfriend, named Kelly, and just all this craziness breaks out. I'm trying not to ruin it too much for you in case you want to see it, but just so you know, if Lucifer is from Fox is more of like the charismatic, comedic devil in the show, mostly, I guess you could say, kind of pokes fun at itself, but it's also procedural, but it's also pretty cool. Damien is no joke. Like, when you start watching that first episode, after the first couple scenes and the first few splashes of blood, you realize, you know what, this is not Lucifer. This is something completely different. And the cool thing about Damien is that the showrunner is Glenn Mazzara. Now, Glenn Mazzara was the showrunner for The Walking Dead for seasons 2 and I believe the first half of season 3, because then he left and Scott Gimple took over from the second half of season 3 until now and beyond. And you can see Mazzara's touch on this show, and particularly in this episode. The cool thing also about Damien is that Scott Wilson, aka Herschel from The Walking Dead, also appears on the show. We haven't seen him yet, but I think he's supposed to appear this week. So, as I said, this show is no joke, and there are 2 deaths that happen. One that's pretty predictable, and then the other one you're just like, oh, come on, like, oh man. But it doesn't take away from the story or the narrative. It's a pretty good show. So the final show that I want to talk about before I end this and start watching Walking Dead is The People vs. OJ Simpson, The American Crime Story. Now, if you haven't watched that show, you really need to, because after watching it the first time, you will be so addicted to that show. It's ridiculous. If you don't know, the creator, Ryan Murphy, who also is a part of shows, or the creator of shows such as Nip Tuck, Popular, Glee, and Scream Queens, another show that I review. He and writer Brad Falchuk basically worked their magic on this show, and it's fantastic. Like, I really like the fact that the show does not think that he's guilty, but they don't think that he's innocent. There's like a middle, there's like basically no method to the madness. They're just like, we're going to show you the facts. This is how it probably happened. But we didn't say he did it, but we didn't say he didn't do it. But once you start watching that, you will love it, because I'm hooked. I'm seriously hooked. And Cuba Gooding Jr. is fantastic as OJ. Sarah from American Horror Story is great as Marsha Clark. I mean, the entire cast, Courtney B. Vance, everybody on this cast is amazing. I hope they get quite a few Emmy nominations, Golden Globe nominations, SAG Awards, whatever that they can give them, just give it to them, because in my opinion, that is the best show so far this season that I have watched. Not to take anything away from the rest of the shows I've watched, because they've been awesome, but this show is just like blown me away. And it's based on a book that was written all about the OJ Simpson trial and everything around it. But if you haven't watched it, definitely watch it. But anyway, I'm Sage Valentine. You guys take care. Don't forget to rate this video and leave me some comments. Let me know what shows you've been watching, and if you've watched the shows that I've talked about in this video, we can chat a little bit about those as well. Until next time, well, until my Walking Dead review, you guys take care. Bye, guys. I love you all. Bye.